Patrick Saunders, go ahead.
Hi, buddy. Before I forget, I want to ask you, key moment in the game, sixth inning, bases loaded, Armando just walked Grisham. Was your mission to go out to the mound, was it twofold? One, to speak to Herman, and maybe two, to pass on some words of wisdom to the home plate umpire?
Well, it wasn't my intention to pass on words of wisdom to the umpire. My intention was to hopefully pass on some wisdom to Herman. That was my intention. I thought if we got to that situation, I was going to leave Herman in the game. We talked a little strategy about pitch selection. We talked a little bit about mechanics. And we talked just very little about exhaling, taking a step back, and making his pitches. When the umpire came out, I just told him that I said, Manny, I'm going to leave Herman in the game. I didn't really say anything to the umpire other than that.
Okay. You didn't mention anything about low balls in the strike
No,
zone, anything like that?
Not at all. No.
Okay.
No.
What does it tell you about Herman that, he gets in that situation, you trust him, you come out there, you talk a little bit, and he gets a huge strikeout? I mean, what does that tell you about his growth and maturity?
Yeah, that shows a lot, right? I think we've seen that happen before our eyes over the last couple of years. And I think you said the proper word, trust. I think, from a coaching perspective, we know that from what we know about Herman, his talent, his experience now, that we trust him. Is it going to happen all the time? No, but we think it's going to happen a great majority of the time. I think in those situations, when you have a pitcher like that, it really comes down to strategy and like I mentioned, getting your mind and your body in the right place. By body, I mean his delivery, his arm action. I spoke about using his legs. I thought maybe he came out of his legs a little bit the last 10, 15 pitches. But I trust the player to, in this case, make pitches. So it was a hard fought win for him. Went up against a very good pitcher in Darvish, who's having a great year, and he outpitched him. And I got to give our offense credit for their at bats against Darvish, Herman included.
And one more for me, buddy. Your offense, particularly with the home run, has really come to life on this road trip. Anything you can tell us? A couple keys that have kind of lit the fuse, so to speak, for this offense on this road trip.
I think the hitting coaches again are continuing to emphasize good at bats, staying within the strike zone. We didn't know the Angel pitchers a lot, but we did our homework, and I thought that we had decent at bats in Anaheim. Here in San Diego, we know their pitching staff, so our guys are prepared before the game, just from our pregame meetings and history, and we're just executing, I think, overall pretty good at bats. We've expanded the strike zone a little bit. The strikeouts come into play some, but overall, the collection of our at bats the first 3 games have been pretty good.
Thanks, buddy.
Danielle?
Hey, buddy, what did you think of that home run from Herman there?
Well, I thought he threw the ball well. I thought he was, overall, pretty crisp. I mean, there's, if you can pick apart one thing, I didn't really like the first pitch strike ratio. Seemed like he was behind 1-0 a lot tonight. He was, the early count strikes really weren't prevalent, but I thought he had a good breaking ball. I thought he threw some good fastballs too. Again, we talked earlier today, Danielle, about the changeup. Didn't really come into play a lot. I know he threw a couple to Machado his last at bat where he got the soft fly ball to left field. But overall, I thought he threw the ball well and had one big swing for the homer. That was impressive. That ball was, hit well. It went up into the, well beyond the fence, up into the, that little platform, that little ivy based little ledge they have out there. So Herman showed some power.
And what happened there on the mound where Carlos Estevez?
Well, there was a huge hole that had formed from the two starters. And, just where Carlos landed, his landing foot was, not ideal for him. And it's, it's within the rules to have the mound fixed if a pitcher deems so. So that's basically what happened. There was a huge mound created by Darvish and Herman that, Carlos and just his stride and where his foot lands was sort of on the edge of it. And it just caused him to, land, basically in a little bit of a crater. And again, totally within the rules to fix the field.
And just to make sure, he was fine afine after that, like no
He's fine.
problems.
Yeah, he's fine.
Thank you.
Anything else for Buddy?